there's all kinds of cases about technology being used by law enforcement to spy on the citizenry. Okay, and the police generally are allowed to do anything that a private person could do. Okay, and they can't go above and beyond what a private person could not do.
So in other words, I'd be a peeping Tom if I had a drone looking in your backyard.
Probably there's going to be some issues there. If we're talking about, hey, we're doing a scan over, we're not targeting certain people.
Like mapping?
Yeah, and you happen to see something, okay, that'd probably be a different issue. All right, but if...
Now, I can understand if somebody's hacking somebody to pieces with a machete. Yeah, I get it, okay? But...
Well, what's the difference?
Well, there's a little difference there.
If it's a violation of privacy, it's a violation of privacy.
Now, that's weird. I mean, everybody would agree that, oh my God, if you're seeing a murder take place. But then again, I'd have to say to myself, okay, if you see some other type of crime taking place, I get that. I get it both ways, which makes it very complexing.
It's a lot of why we haven't even started on common law marriage yet. So there's a lot of reason why I don't agree with these advocates. My favorite professor, he's awesome, Professor Jeffrey Korn. Okay, been in the criminal law business for a long time. As a very decorated prosecutor in the military, is now a decorated a law professor. We actually talk on Facebook about issues. We go back and forth. He helps me a little bit. I give him some new topics, right, to debate. His camp, right? I shouldn't say that. Maybe he's changed his viewpoint, but there are some in a camp that want to do away with the Fourth Amendment completely, right? As far as the exclusionary rule is concerned, and what the exclusionary rule does, if you remember, is it excludes, okay, evidence that's obtained in violation, okay, of the Fourth Amendment. And the Fourth Amendment is the privacy provision, is what protects our privacy, okay, because that's what protects our person, our liberty, letting us be free, okay, from unreasonable searches and seizures, which is what we're talking about here.
So what's more important, the constitutional right, or if you see something happening, and I'm going to fall back to the Constitution because you got to preserve it, and otherwise if I didn't, I'd be a hypocrite.
Well, that's what you're saying, though. You're saying that chopping.
No, but then I caught myself and I said, no, wait a minute, because
You just say you didn't understand.
No. Let me know before you say that I said something. I didn't say this. This is what I said. Well, you would think that if somebody's hacking somebody and it's murdering, but then I go, well, wait a minute. Then any other type of crime could be done the same way. And then I say to myself, now if I put that on the scale of Constitution and keep it pure, and then doing that, I have to weigh out to the Constitution.
Exactly. And so, but there is another camp, or there is at least another spectrum, right, or group, a smaller group within the camp that would say do away with the exclusionary rule, that would be satisfied to keep the exclusionary rule, but to lessen the effects of it on serious crimes, which is what you're saying. Like they would say, like in a child rape situation, or in a murder type situation, or in bombing, terroristic,
some type of heinous crime.
Heinous crime, right? To either do away with it, or right to make a more set of standards that would allow courts to enter this evidence, unless it was just like willful misconduct on the police standpoint. Okay,
I think I know what you're saying. So you maintain the Constitution, but you got that loophole in case it's one of those heinous crimes.
Yes, exactly. So you maintain privacy and exclude evidence, which is the exclusionary rule. Okay, and so that other camp would say that the exclusionary rule, the Fourth Amendment, does not have an exclusionary rule. It just protects our liberty. It doesn't actually say anything about excluding evidence. There's nothing in the language. There's nothing in the Constitution. Well, that's true. That's true. But I mean, if there's no exclusionary rule, there's no teeth.
You know, there wouldn't be any problem here if we never saw case after case after case of government, law enforcement exceeding their boundaries, and then all of a sudden it becomes this suspicion from the citizenry what's actually going on.
Again, I can't tell you how many times, like I've said on the show, I just feel like that's why there's just so much turmoil out there. I mean, we have so many more laws on the books that I think it's just it's almost maybe not impossible. Maybe impossible is a strong word, but it's very easy, very simple. Right? Hell, I broke 3 laws on the way here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they do that so they can get you one way or another, right?
Okay, and so and then we have this. I think overzealous kind of attitude that I need to intrude. I need to intrude. Where I think it's just gotten more that way. I get.
I asked somebody in a position of power when it came to law enforcement if they saw. I'm not going to say names. If they saw a wall between the citizenry and the citizens wearing a badge, and they said not at all. I said, well, I think you're living blind because it's way there. Because I talked to a whole bunch of people, and everybody, or not everybody, but a large group of people are very suspicious of government and law enforcement. And I blame it 90% on the media because lots of people like to be informed, but they're listening to the wrong types of information, and the media has an agenda, and they're pushing this thing, and people get tainted because they're watching bullet points, or they get to only see the terrible, terrible things that happens. Because day after day after day, there's tons of acts from law enforcement that is nothing but good and stupendous from people who are doing a job in a great manner.
I won't. I'm not going to shy away from the fact that the media definitely has an influence on this thing, but I can tell you that that's not the only influence. You cannot deny that there are more laws created every day.
No, I won't deny
that. And you cannot deny that our privacy is more open to scrutiny today than it has ever been in the history of the world.
I won't deny that either.
And so, I mean, I think that there is more intrusion going on today, and the people feel that and almost feel trapped. And I think that this does leave, and then you got the media just throwing gasoline on it. Okay, and that leads to this animosity, this suspicious, attitude from both sides. Right? This side is suspicious of this side, and this side is suspicious of this side. Mm-hmm. Well, being suspicious of this side is just pissing this side off or making this side feel a little more uncomfortable. And it just grows from there. And so that's what I was gonna say. Like, I have no problem with law enforcement because I deal with these guys every day, right? And so when they stop me, I could probably be doing something wrong. It's still really not care as much. In other words, all I'm saying is, when they stop me, I'm not nervous.
I'm not nervous either,
and I'm not suspicious. I
don't want to get a bad impression here. What I'm trying to let me use an analogy.
How's that a bad impression?
No.
I don't think it's a bad. What I'm trying to get at
I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about me. I want to give an example of what I'm talking about when it comes to this. I look at the Constitution as the main thing. And in driver ed, there's 3 zones. I was taught there's 3 zones when you come up to a stoplight. The green zone is you stop at a comfortable stop because you're noticing the traffic light, you got a long distance away, you saw it turning yellow and red, so you have a comfortable stop. The yellow zone is the light turned yellow, so you make a little bit more quicker stop. And the red zone is like, oh my gosh, I'm going to pass the white line, or do I just run it and get out of the intersection? I think when it comes to the Fourth Amendment and other things about the Constitution, we're in the red zone. That's why it is so aggressive, so passionate with people, because we're screeching to a halt before we cross that red line. As compared to if some things happen about the Constitution that were in the green zone, okay, we have a conversation about it. But I think a lot of these instances are in our red zone, and that's why we're getting so aggressive.
And the courts have made so many exceptions. Well, it doesn't apply here. Well, it doesn't apply here. Well, it doesn't apply here. And then when the government's supposed to have the burden to prove one of those exceptions exists, the courts really don't make them prove it.
And I think the majority of the people with common sense look at the judgment and say, where did that come from? What do these judges come up with these? It doesn't apply here, it doesn't apply here. We're in the common sense of the rest of the citizenry. We go, what are you doing? That makes no sense what you're doing. It goes against common sense.
Yeah, and I mean, That's what I'm trying to tell you. So everybody feels like what's the use? What's the point if the Constitution's not going to protect me? I'm going to protect myself, and then we have a clash.
Yes.
Okay, and so that's the whole point of the Constitution, which is why we had the Revolution, which is why we had animosity between government officials and citizens. I mean, it is what it is. I don't think that it's definitely, obviously not that bad. And that's why I say the history of the world probably it's not the most invasive that it's been in the history of the world. But you understand my point as far as like being open. A lot of our thoughts are put down in a phone, okay, and not expected to be made available to anybody else but ourselves.
Bring your mic closer to your mouth.
And not expected to be available to anybody else but ourselves.
Yeah, I look at the phone as an extension to my brain.
Right.
It's my personal thoughts.
And they didn't have that, even when they had all of these really oppressive governments, they didn't have that kind of technology. So your thoughts, were still your own. Okay, your thoughts were still your own in your own brain, right. and you could release them whether you wanted to or not. And now, we have people hacking our thoughts. And so that's what I meant. We're more vulnerable, I think, today than a lot of times we've ever been. We don't have to put them on the phone, but people don't. I mean, that's not how people are geared. We don't. I don't think the common person out there is thinking, "Oh, don't write down my thoughts on my phone."
No, they're not thinking that at all.
No, they're just and especially not teenagers from 15 to 25.
I mean, they should be taught to think a little bit further down the road, like some of these teenagers who put some weird stuff on social media and then they come to get a job and then the people look at it.
But I'll tell you what, I'm going
to be talking to Hugh Shine later today, and I'm going to be bringing up some of the governor's points on how to protect schools and that kind of stuff. And there was one thing about social media, how they're going to have people checking out people's social media just to see if we've got any nutcases, because what was it? Cruz was actually saying on social media that what he's going to do. So we need to watch for people like that. But that's a sidebar note. We got about 20 minutes. Do you want to start talking common law marriage, or are we still on a roll here?
I mean, I kind of like where we're going.
Take it away, brother.
I mean, we could.
And I'll tell you what, everybody. If you got a question, if you're dating somebody or in a situation where you're common law and you're like biting your nails because you're like, oh my gosh, what did I get myself into, and what are the repercussions of it? Give us a call, 254-697-6633.
Well, I think we can make a segue, right? We spoke about how the Fourth Amendment protects unreasonable searches and seizures. The Supreme Court came out with a ruling I completely disagree with. I mean, it just makes me it irks me every time that I think about this. And the Texas Supreme Court said the Fourth Amendment does not apply to asset forfeiture. And no, absolutely not. I disagree with this ruling. They tried to go into all this in-depth stuff about it, right? There's nothing in the Fourth Amendment that says it only applies to criminal cases. Okay, unlike the Fifth Amendment that talks about it being, right, it has obvious, right, implications for a criminal case. The Fourth Amendment does not talk about criminal. It doesn't talk about it has to be applied to criminal cases. It doesn't give that implication. And we know that the founding fathers were concerned about like tax warrants. Okay, there were other warrants, the general warrants, there were administrative warrants, there were civil warrants that the founding fathers absolutely despised. Absolutely despised. I mean, this was the thing that they hated. They hated these government officials putting down on a piece of paper and targeting people who spoke out against the government, targeting people who were unfavorable to their cause. They targeted the people in other camps, right? Political viewpoints. Okay, they used these things as harassment tools. They used these things to put people in prison, yes. Okay, but they also used it just as harassment. I mean, you
would
would
like an IRS audit today, right? Where they do it to people to shut you up.
A lot of times, I mean, it takes you back. What was the lady's name again? I can't. You know what I'm talking about. Yeah, they were targeting the Tea Party, right? And so I mean, it absolutely applied to civil cases, and the United States Supreme Court has said this. I mean, they apply in administrative cases, they apply in civil cases, right? To administrative agencies. Why would it not apply to asset forfeiture? And they say that, well, it's in the statute, it's a statutory thing, blah blah blah. I disagree with it. I could go on and on and on about this.
So let me ask you a question.
Hold on. And so to go to common law marriage, we said that if you are a wife, okay, if you've got one spouse.
Wait, if you're a wife, truly a wife with marriage certificate or a common law marriage?
Yeah, I said wife, and I tried to be more politically correct. It didn't have the effect. Okay. Scratch wife. Okay, if you're a spouse, okay, right, and your other spouse goes out and is dealing dope, okay, that can put your property, okay, in jeopardy of being seized by the police. And you don't even get to challenge that with a constitutional right.
Why? Where does this come from? I know it's there. I know it happens, but how do they get that across as being okay?
The Supreme Court said it was statutory. We got to follow statutory rules.
Well, here comes that question I was going to ask you. These judges are reading information, and you're reading the same information. How do we come up with two different opinions? You're totally opposed, and they're saying it's okay. Is it supposedly because they're the gods up there on the chairs with the robes, and whatever they say goes with an opinion? Or do they come down with this answer based on facts that you both read out of the same articles?
I was in court all day Friday arguing about whether the word grandparent included every degree of relationship of other grandparents, such as great-grandparents, great-great-grandparents, great-great-great-grandparents. Okay? There's always something to argue about, okay? And even when the law was to say a parent of the child, which I feel like is pretty much impossible to assume that it means anything else than a grandparent. A great lawyer on the other side was able to make a case that this includes great-grandparents, great-great-grandparents, and any other kind of great-great-great-great.
They technically should have said the parent of a parent and all other parents after that point to clarify what you just said, because when you say a parent of a parent, that's the grandparent.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly, which was my point. Yes, I won. But there's a great lawyer on the other side, okay, that was able to make a case that a parent of the child, right, meant more than meant more than a grandparent.
I don't want to waste the time trying to explain that, but how the heck do they do that?
I know lawyers like that would be dangerous car salesmen.
Mm-hmm. 3 wheels? What do you mean it doesn't run right? No, that's good. That's trendy, man.
Single tires.
Oh man. And so yeah, and that's a fun case.
Right,
anyway,
let's simplify this, man. Let's simplify this because we're getting deep. The first thing we talked about the drones, that was cool, but this can get so deep.
It's kind of cool. Isn't it?
Let's break it down in a simple term.
It's kind of neat.
What's common law? How can it screw you? How is it beneficial, if at all? And because I know there's a lot of people out there dating. If they're dating for one time, like you said.
Okay, so let's talk about what common law marriage is. Okay, cohabitating, representing that you're married, in intent to be married, an agreement to be married. Okay, representing to others that you're married
via Facebook or social media, saying, "Yeah, we're together." Is that what you were saying last time?
Something like that,
okay.
And then cohabitation. So an agreement, a representation, and a cohabitation.
Do you need all three or just one of three?
You need all three.
You need all three. Okay.
I hope so. Golly. So I get drunk one night and I say, "Hey, it's my wife right here. Never seen her before in my life. Now we're married." Oh shit. Okay. And so, we got an intent is part of the agreement. Mm-hmm. We got to interpret the contract. Okay, just like a contract, just like anything like that. if there's an agreement. So we're going to interpret it that way. There's got to be an intent. All right, that's what I was trying to say. If, I'm drunk at Bob's, okay, and I see some really hot chick, or maybe she, it depends on what time it is.
Whatever.
Okay, and so it depends on what time it is. But hey, and then I say, oh, this is my wife, okay, and there's no intent. There's no intent from either party. There's no agreement. All right, it's just a representation by me and only me. Okay.
I gotta write this down, man. Not from you. I know people are gonna ask me because they asked me last time we were talking. So you said the three things were what? Intent.
It's an agreement, a representation, and cohabitation.
Okay.
But in every agreement, right, there's got to be this intent. You got to intend to agree. You've got to have some kind of, mental understanding of the agreement. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Whether an actual intent, I don't know, maybe what that might be construed as, but you get what I'm saying. There's got to be this knowingly, voluntarily, right, entering of an agreement. We have to want to be doing this, okay?
If you go to college, I've seen this many times, and you go down to the local bar or knick-knack store, they sell weekend marriage certificates, okay? So you're good to go for the marriage. If you sign something like that, does that really mess you up? It says starting Friday night to Monday 12:01, you're married. After that, all bets off.
Okay, well, there's no common law divorce. Okay, so it's not. So there's no informal divorce. Yes, you can be informally married, but once you're informally married, you have to get formally divorced. Okay, so it's not like you can just say, "Oh, we're married today. We're not married the next day." Now,
I just heard a collective gulp from a lot of college guys.
So just continuing along that line, if you were common law married and then you separated and then you got real married, does that make you a legal bigamist?
yes, you could not. You could the
Wow.
second marriage would be void.
In this day and age, I accept that as a valid question.
That's
The second marriage would actually be void. It would not exist. You would be able to have that marriage declared void because it could not have been done.
And of course, this only comes up if the marriage goes to pot and you get a divorce and there's lawyers involved, and you say you see this one and see that one. This one doesn't apply, right? Otherwise, nobody would even know the difference.
There's a great United States Supreme Court case, Reynolds. Reynolds it was about the fanatical Latter-day Saint group. I think the fundamental FLSDS.
yes.
Okay, I said fanatical. So if you guys are anybody out there
Was
that
that
would be offensive, excuse me. I meant fundamental. That group. So there's all kinds of constitutional arguments whether or not we should have polygamy, and I don't want to get into that. It's a very fun debate, in my opinion, to have. It's not so straightforward. It's not polygamy is messed up. It's wrong. Well, there's some cool little quirks that can happen, right? This is one of them, and it would be void. They would try to. You could possibly that would be a crime as well.
What, in the most general sense, the most common sense, does common law marriage happen almost unknowingly to the people? For example, you got two 18-year-olds or 17-year-olds, because that's about legal age, right? Two 17-year-olds who are digging each other and they're doing each other and
Yeah, if you guys are living together, okay, and I'd be real careful about putting wifey on Facebook. Okay, unless you're intending to be married. And we spoke about, I think last time, I'm not going to go as in depth as I did last time, but we spoke about the debts. Okay,
that's a big thing, though, man. That's what people were asking about. Are you mean to tell me I'm liable for their debt?
Yes. Okay, so if there's this huge debt and you guys go and get married, your community property could be liable, right, for any debts that were incurred before, I'll say this one more time, before or during marriage,
And
or
the reason-
before and during marriage.
And the
however you
reason
wanna-
you're emphasizing this is because last time you said if you went into a marriage and you got your property, they got their property, your property is your property, their property is their property, except this massive amount of debt.
Well, I don't want to construe it to mean that your separate property is liable for the debts that were incurred before marriage, but your community property.
But the private property of the debt going to school, for example, you got this college debt was your property, but now that when you get married, that college debt actually becomes community property. How
Yes,
is
the college debt becomes community property.
I don't understand how that works. I know it works, but I don't understand why.
Or it doesn't become community property in the sense that that debt can follow you forever even after you're divorced, but that debt in and of itself can make your community property liable. So, for instance, let's look at it this way. Like the example I gave last time. Like, this girl's really cute. Okay, you guys been dating a month. All right, and your dad tells you it's too early. You don't really know everything about her. You haven't even done an investigative background check with Lone Star, right? Investigative Services over there at Benton Watson's office. Okay, and so you really need to go do this. All right, and you're like, no, Dad, she's awesome, man. She's so great. I'm in love with her, dude. And so, like, your dad's like, well, don't marry. Okay, until you find this out, and you're like, Dad, we went to Vegas last weekend. We got married last weekend. Okay, and she's like, I got a ring, and you got the Cracker Jack box ring. Okay, and so like, and you're broke. You're a teenager, young, dumb, and broke in that song now. And so, your dad's like, okay, well, be careful because there's this debt, and you go, well, man, we just bought this house. We just bought this house. Like, we're moving in. We're moving in next week. And so it goes good for like a month, right? And then you find out, oh, she tried to go to medical school and, went all the way through, till it got time to residency. And then she just dropped out because she had mental breakdown, right? Because she was on dope. And because she lost her kids to CPS because all this other stuff happened, okay? And you realize, like, so there's like this $250,000 debt out there, right? You've got drug problems and that forfeiture judgments on file with the state. You've got restitution judgments from her probation that she hasn't paid, okay? And you've got lawyer's fees that you're going to have to owe because her motion to revoke her probation for not paying restitution's coming up, okay? And you're thinking, crap. Okay, and obviously, right? I'm exaggerating the many things, but
not all the time. No, there's a lot of
you
stuff
think
like
this hasn't happened? I can't say any names, but I can tell you this kind of thing happens, okay? And so this scenario is extreme, but the college debt situation is extremely common. Okay, it is extremely common. I've seen
it's
it.
extremely common because it's extremely common that everybody's got college debt and they can't seem to get a job to pay it off.
Yes, or I shouldn't have said college debt. You've got credit card debt and that's what I mean by college debt. Like debts that these people are incurring like during college, because college kids do dumb things, and I did too. We tend to get low on money. Well, I'm gonna go open up a credit card, right, and charge a bunch of stuff, and then you can't pay that, and the interest bills, yada yada yada. Okay, that happens a lot, and that's really what I'm referring to. And we've got other times, that people get into an accident or something, and they've got a bunch of past medical bills. Okay, you've got maybe you got somebody that's got a bunch of creditors and judgments against. They got bad credit. Okay, some of that may affect you, some of it may not. But you need to be aware that community property, what comes with the marriage, it's not just like a clean slate going forward.
Let me ask you this. Without taking the romance, the passion, the excitement, and the spontaneity out of a relationship, what would you say is a good way to maybe go into? You want to take that? See what
Yeah, well, do you want to take it or
yeah,
not?
let's take it. See what it is.
Talk-
That was
talk.
it. You are on the Aaron's High Cap Adventure Radio program. Who do we have calling in? And thank you for calling. I I can't hear.
Oh, no, I think I called the wrong time. Thank you.
Well, do you have any opinion on common law marriage?
Oh, yes, sir, I do.
Well, tell me what you think.
It's best to get married.
Exactly.
I was in a common law relationship for a long time. Yeah, it's best to get married. If you're common law married, you might as well go ahead and do it right with the Lord. That's the only way for you to get your blessing.
Well, when you were in a common law marriage and you got out of it, was there any problems that came out of that?
No, I didn't have no problems, but I didn't find out that when you're common law married, it's just like you're married. It's so many things that, that the law is the same thing. Like what you can and what you can't do. It's the same thing. That's why, in my opinion, I said go ahead and get married because it's the same. If you decide to leave that person, if that person want to take something or do something, they have that right to do it, male or female.
Do you think?
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Do you think the common law marriage concept idea is people thinking they can get out of it a lot easier than actually being married?
Yes.
But
And it's not.
and it's not. Wow, this is a great call. I'm glad you accidentally called us. All right, man. Well, you keep listening to us, okay?
Thank you.
All right, bye bye.
Yeah.
That was pretty good.
Yeah, it was really good. I maybe it gives me some credibility in what I'm saying now. So I mean,
But what my question to you was, without taking all that out, the spontaneity, the romance, the passion, how would you look about going into it if you're not actually ready to get married?
I mean, but I don't want to seem like it's always better to do it this way. There are the times that it may be helpful to be in a common law marriage for the sake of asset protection.
Yeah, but I'm confused because asset protection almost, I thought you said, is kind of bad in common law.
But there's this ambiguity or ambiguity, right? When the creditors don't know who the wife is and isn't. Okay, and so I'm not going to go into those tactics. Okay, the asset protection strategies and so to speak. I don't mean committing fraud on your creditors. I mean legitimate asset protection. Things that already you own that you protect via certain estate planning and business planning strategies along with your marriage relationship.
Would you consider yourself a financial marriage planner, counselor?
A marriage? Oh,
Financial
I'm
marriage
glad I'm
counselor?
not. Best thing about me is I'm not married.
Hope nobody listening. But
Oh, she'll say the same thing. Yeah, she'll say the same thing. Okay, and so, she said, "Man, I'm not married that guy." Okay, yes, that's what I do. We do business planning, estate planning, for sure, absolutely.
I think that's very vital, everybody. You need to check Ross out here. Ross, I'll tell you what, the clocks are ticking here before we get to the point where
Man,
we
went
can't
fast.
do it.
We're not even to the meat and potatoes yet.
I know we could do a whole hour on this thing, but we got other people coming on. So why don't you tell everybody how they can get a hold of you, what services you provide, and if we have a second
Hey,
left for
you got to know this cohabitate. Remember I said this one night. We got a court case saying all you got to do is stay there one night.
I know, but in most cases, don't they say it lasts 15 minutes?
Man.
Wow.
Exactly.
Oh yeah. Hey, so or not even that. We just gotta. Hey, it's just gotta be cohabitate. Whatever period of time cohabitate means is a fact question. Okay, and so is the representation and whether or not you had the intent. We talked about the IRS statements. Be careful. Okay, you've had judges understand that everybody likes to lie to the IRS, so that it could very well be a lie. But also, you've just got to be careful about what you're representing your wife to be. Like we said, wifey on Facebook. It's all a fact question. So you just got to be careful, like the lady said, because just because you can get into it formally doesn't mean you can get, or into it informally doesn't mean you can get out of it informally.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, this segment is sponsored by Coppolino Dodd Krebs Law Firm. Super Attorney Rick Dodd, good friends with him. He's one of the blessings to the show. It keeps it on the air, and it allows a venue for Ross here to Give us some excellent legal advice and
That's why
commentary.
Rick's not on the show today. He's always referring these kind of cases to me and Michelle Limkeel and Raquel because he doesn't want to deal with these. But yeah, so these were the fun ones. I appreciate Rick and you guys having me on.
Well,
So it's always fun.
Tell everybody how to get a hold of you.
My office 105 East Main here in Cameron. Yeah, make milk cow. We gotta keep the tradition. And so also you can email me if you have any questions. We've talked about again if you we love having questions because it helps us figure stuff out, and we love trying to figure stuff out. But leave your phone number, please. Again, leave your phone number when you email. So my email is benton@watson.legal. That's benton@watson.legal. And again, you can call me at 254-605-4140. That's 254-605-4140.
Now, Ross, I'm artistic in nature, and when you said the milk cow on the side of the building, if you want to make that a 3D picture, get a roll of hay, put it right in front, and give you a 3D image of that cow on the wall. So try it out. You'll like it.